All right, Bosh, you're asking me to cover a lot of ground here, but I'll do my best. In terms of reviewing Harps season last year, I think, obviously, to start off, we, on the podcast, myself and Keith, were very optimistic about Harps' chances of avoiding a relegation battle because we felt that the squad that had been assembled was probably one of the strongest that I can remember at Harps, in terms of the experience and the quality and the depth. And obviously we got off to an incredible start to the season and that sort of gathered momentum. But, I mean, if you look at the season and the way it panned out, we finished on the same amount of points as Drogheda, 44 points. We were only 4 points behind sixth place Dundalk, and nobody could have foreseen Dundalk having the season they had. But I think if you look at Harps' season, the reason we were probably in a relegation battle was because when we beat Waterford, I think it was towards the end of May, we actually didn't win a league game then until, I think, August, around that time. So it was like a 2-month period where we just couldn't pick up any results, and that really sort of derailed our season in many regards. But thankfully, towards the end of the season, Ollie, as he's always been able to do, is able to galvanise the group and, really strong finish towards the end of the season and managed to avoid a relegation playoff. But again, for me, and not everyone will agree, I just felt, you look at that Drogheda team, it was a good side. Obviously, Brown's gone to Blackburn, O'Reilly's gone to Hamilton Accies, so there's a lot of quality there. But I felt Harps squad last year should have finished ahead of them. Obviously, very unlucky not to finish ahead of them in the end. Could have finished ahead of Dundalk as well, who had a bit of a bad season, as I already said. And Derry obviously got off to a bad start, and they finished 10 points ahead of us. But again, if you look at that 2-month period, we didn't pick up a lot of points at all, and that really hurt us. And I think if we could have had picked up, as I say, maybe an extra 6 or 8 points, we could have finished in the top half of the league, which would have been incredible. But it didn't happen, and unfortunately now I think a lot of the players that Ollie has unearthed, you think Foley was sort of plucked from relative obscurity, playing championship football for Newry. He's came to Harps. He's done unbelievable, but unfortunately now he's on his way. He's going to be playing for Drogheda. Tunde Alawabi towards the second half of the season was sensational, and no surprise really that a club like St Pat's have come in for him. Mark Coyle, who for me was probably, obviously he was voted Harps Player of the Year, but he was outstanding, had a great year. He's gone to Shelbourne. Lost Siddiqui. Boyd, again, another player who came in for a lot of criticism from Harps fans, but what an unbelievable goal against Dundalk in that Magic Cup night at Finn Park. He looks like a real player. He looks like he's overcome his injury woes, but unfortunately he's gone to Shelbourne too. So it's been a big blow, and the Harps fans quite rightly are disappointed, because I do feel if that squad was able to stick together and another 12 months, I really do think it was a squad that was capable of climbing up the table again, to maybe finish 6th or 5th. I really do, but that's not going to happen now. And I do think, you've asked to review this season and look ahead to next. I do think it's going to be a real challenge. I wouldn't have the same level of optimism that I did last year, because the squad has been decimated of real quality. But obviously Ollie, as he does, the wheeler dealer, he's got Bastian Hieri into the squad. We know he's on his day, arguably as good as any midfielder in the league, but he's had a bit of a challenge. But Ollie seems to, and Harps seem to be a great place for people to sort of relaunch their careers, and hopefully he hits the ground running. Good to see Conor Tourish back at Harps. I think he'd been with the club before training, but a move never materialised. I think he's someone that could maybe replicate what Ryan Rainey done last year. I know you've asked me to, who did I think Harps' best players were last year. I think obviously I mentioned Mark Coyle. Obviously the likes of Foley in the first half of the season was incredible. Tunde Alawabi was incredible in the second half of the season. But for me, Ryan Rainey, he didn't play for the first 6 months. Must have been really difficult for him. But when he came into the team, I thought he was outstanding. He got Young Player of the Year, and he's someone I think that can be a mainstay of the Harps midfield for a long time to come. I think he's a top class player, and it's going to be difficult next year. I really do think it's going to be tough. But hopefully, Ollie can do what he always does and keep our head above water. But for me, looking ahead this year, as I said, I was optimistic last year. I do think if we can avoid the relegation playoff spots, it'll be a really good season, because we have lost a lot of quality, and as we know, it's not easy to get quality to Finn Park. But I'm sure Ollie will continue to try and get quality players. I know he's signed a Spanish defender as well, so he's got a good network there. What else did you ask me to do? I think that's it, isn't it? Oh, best win. I think obviously the one in the Brandywell was fantastic. It was a long time coming, but I think if you're going to beat anyone in a derby match, I think a winner in the last minute or the closing stages of the match is the way you want to win it. It's always extra sweet when you win a game late on. So I think favourite moment was that win. Although Boyd's goal against Dundalk as well, like, that was incredible. When you think 3-1 down to 10 men, that was brilliant. But look, that's my review of the season. And that's, going forward. I think it's going to be a tough season, but look, I'm confident that Ollie and the squad he'll assemble will keep Harps in the Premier Division next year. But it's just it is frustrating that you assemble that squad, and then you've got Shelburne and St Pat's and Drogheda and these clubs able to sort of come in and entice the lads away. That lure of full-time football is difficult. It's hard for players not to turn it down, and then they're getting to live in Dublin and places like that. No disrespect to Ballafay, good town, but look, you've got challenges there. But looking forward to the season ahead, and I do think Harps will be okay. I think Ollie will keep us up there.